Welcome back to the Tracy Take. I am Tyler here with my brother Ryan, and today we are breaking down the Cincinnati Bengals 3-round mock draft. But before we do that, if you are a big fan of maybe put a couple bucks on the game that you are watching, click the link down below. We have partnered with BetUS, and all first-time players get 125% match on their first 3 deposits. So check out the link below. They have a lot of fun games coming up. March Madness is going on right now. Masters right around the corner. All the horse races coming up. So check out the link. And while you're at it, like this video and also subscribe to the channel and help us get to 3,000 subscribers by the NFL draft. We're only a couple hundred away, so we're hoping to get there by the end of April. So, Ryan, let's pull this up here. So, Bengals offseason so far, I think just a good overall offseason, I would say. They lost a couple pieces, but not, I would say, pieces that were not too bad to replace. For example, like Jonah Williams moved on. You got Trent Brown. This is a good draft as well to go after offensive tackle, especially with where they're picking out overall. They lost CJ Reader, but then picked up Sheldon Rankins. You can make an argument that's an improvement. Von Bell has come back to the Bengals. So, and I will say I like Joe Mixon a little bit more than Zach Moss, but I think you combine Zach Moss and Chase Brown's going to be picking up more of a workload in the running back room. I think it was time to move on for Joe Mixon just because he's only got, in my opinion, 1 or 2 years left. But I think Zach Moss is a good compliment. I think him and Chase Brown is going to be a great addition overall. So before we get into the mock draft, Ryan, what is your overall thoughts of the Cincinnati Bengals mock draft?
Yeah, I mean, so do you mean the additions and
the additions? Sorry.
Yeah. So I really like kind of what they did this offseason. I think Mike Gesicki is a good compliment to what they want to do. He's just really a jumbo receiver. And I think when you look at Hayden Hurst, when he was there, they really moved him around a lot and did a good job with that. So I think he'll be a good fit there. I think it's a good compliment to Drew Sample. And then also the addition of Sheldon Rankins, I think that's kind of a moot point with him and DJ Reader. Not that I think one guy is tremendously better than the other. I think Sheldon Rankins is maybe a little bit more of like a pass rushing defensive tackle, where DJ Reader is much more of a run stuffer. So to me, again, kind of a moot point. I think they're both solid defensive tackles. But all in all, I think they did a good job of rounding out this roster. Joe Burrow should be coming back. So obviously that was their biggest loss last year, and they make the playoffs if he doesn't go down with injury. And so all in all, I really like what they did. I think they did a good job of rounding out this team, adding some safeties as well that they lost in the previous offseason. So let's just go ahead and get into this mock draft here. And starting things off, we're going to go with Tyler Guyton, the offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. So I really like this player, especially for a team that has 2 older tackles. Orlando Brown Jr., not quite as old as Trent Brown, but Trent Brown's going to be 32. He hasn't played a full season in the last 3 years, I believe, 3 or 4 years. And to me, really struggles with motor. And I think going and getting a guy like Tyler Guyton that for the first few weeks can maybe develop and then potentially take over at right tackle, because you have Orlando Brown Jr. at that left tackle spot. And then Trent Brown can kind of be your swing tackle in case somebody goes down.
Yeah, no, that's how I kind of envision this pick as well. Is like you do get Trent Brown as the veteran piece, just in case, if something happens and, he's going to be reliable. He knows what he's doing. But at this point, though, I think the upside on Tyler Guyton, he's been probably has, of all the people have a good offseason combine so far, I think you can absolutely put him up there and like his draft stock rising. He was already going to be maybe a mid-day 2, early day 2 pick anyways, but now he's solidified himself. And I think that the top upper echelon of offensive linemen here. So I like this route I'm going on with the Bengals. I will say if they want to go interior, they could go get somebody like Troy Fautanu, who's going to have more versatility along the line. I think that could be another option. I will say too, sneaky receiver spot, I think as well. Just because I see a lot of teams are doing that now. They're going best player available to Brian. If they feel like Brian Thomas Jr., for example, is going to have a bigger impact, maybe they go that route as well and just maybe replace Tyler Boyd. If T. Higgins only got franchise tag for 1 year, so if they maybe want to move on from him after that, we'll have to see.
Yeah. So, or if they end up trading T. Higgins this offseason, I think.
Or if they end up trading T. Higgins, that's a great point as well.
So, all in all, I think this is a good fit for both parties involved. He separates himself with his athleticism. He just needs some refinement, and I think that the Bengals would be a good spot for him to land. Let's move on to their second round pick. And we talked a little bit about Sheldon Rankins in the beginning, but adding another defensive tackle to the mix here. This guy's kind of a tweener. I think he plays around 290, 295, but Braden Fisk, the defensive tackle out of Florida State, I think would be a nice fit here. The Bengals have a good pass rush led by Trey Hendrickson, and they did invest in who's the kid from Miles Murphy last year in the draft. And then so going and getting a guy like Braden Fisk who can be that interior pass rusher, I think would be a good complement to both of those guys. They still have Sam Hubbard. And so I like this fit, especially in some sub packages. You get a guy that can come in and I think from day one is a rotational player for you. And depending on matchup, could be a rotational starter.
Yeah. No, another guy that like his draft stock has gone up tremendously during this combine as well. I think you go get Braden Fisk, and at minimum, I think that rookie year he's going to be some good depth piece behind Sheldon Rankins, and so. But I think he can come in and help contribute day one as well. A lot of other different options. I think that they could go. Chris Jenkins could be another guy. But also, too, I think linebacker could be an interesting position as well. We do Junior Colson. He was taken about 20 picks later in our draft, but
yeah.
He was the next best guy on our board outside of Edric Cooper, who fell a little bit. I know they have Jermaine Pratt there, but also too just to keep revamping, that linebacker position because they put a lot into the secondary. And then defensive line is very good. So if they want to address something on the defensive side of the ball, outside of tackle, maybe they go to the linebacker position as well.
Yeah. So I do think that if they go offense the first pick, it's probably defense the next pick. They do need some defensive help. They weren't the best unit last year, and so adding solid players in that group would be advised. So wrapping things up here, probably one of the weakest points I think was the secondary last year. They lost Jesse Bates in free agency last year. They had Dax Hill and DJ Turner from Michigan. One guy was a second year. Turner was a rookie. And so I think those guys you expect to make another jump as they go into years 2 and 3 of their career. But outside of that, it's going to be an interesting transition. Andrew Phillips, I think, is a good project cornerback. He has the athleticism to be a number one outside corner. Just maybe not the refinement on tape that you would like to see. He played against good competition. And again, like I said, he just has all the athletic traits that you really want in a top corner. And hopefully the Bengals can develop them.
Yeah. And so picked up 2 safeties in the offseason. Von Bells, we mentioned also Geno Stone as well. So I think if they were going to go secondary, I believe corner would be the spot that they go. And I do think that this would be a good spot for them to go and get it. I think they have other needs that are more pressing earlier on in the first 2 picks, such as in the trenches. I feel like that's always been an issue. So I feel like third round or day 3 is where they're going to try and target some value corners as well. I would say, I know they did bring on Zach Moss, but this could be a potential spot if they want to go running back here. See which running backs are available. Very curious on how the running backs are going to go in this draft, just with Jonathan Brooks, Blake Corum.
Yeah.
How are teams going to value them? Are they going to be round 2 guys? Are they going to be round 3 guys? And we'll just have to kind of go and see, because obviously this isn't as stud of a class as last year's running back class. But
no, it is. I would say it's deeper though.
Yeah.
So,
in general, though, I would say that the Bengals, I think
there is one more pick.
Oh, there's one more pick.
Yeah, they do have a compensatory pick here at pick 97. We have them going with Cade Stover. I will say when we were going through this mock draft, it was a little bit before they signed Mike Gesicki. So I do think maybe they go a different route here. However, with that being said, I think Cade Stover is kind of a different – he's the in-between of Mike Gesicki and Drew Sample. He can be an inline tight end. He can block. And he also is a really good receiver as well. And so I think if they want to get a third tight end on the roster – also Mike Gesicki is only signed to a 1-year deal. So if they really like Cade Stover, I think going and getting him here at 97 would be good value.
Yeah. So. I agree. Potentially won't go tight end here. Maybe they'll wait a little bit later for the Holder kid from Colorado State, like in the 5th or 6th round potentially. But still, anything is possible. Cade Stover is a great player. If that is going to be a route that they go there, I could see them maybe going pass catcher but in the receiving round as well.
Yeah.
I think Javon Baker was taken shortly before that, or was still on the board. There's still a lot of other good guys. A guy like Taj Washington, I think, would be great if Tyler Boyd moves on. Just a speedster to go along.
I think they've moved on from Tyler Boyd at this point.
Yeah. No. So. Yeah. So, but in general, I think the Bengals are still a good team. They got unfortunate with the injuries from Joe Burrow and the wrist, so we'll have to kind of see how he recovers. I'm curious if they're going to take a different approach because it seems like they just always get off to a slow start, just in general. But I think because they don't play in any of the preseason games, training camp's normally a little slow. So I wonder with the injury and with how last year wrapped up, if there's going to be a different approach. They could try and be more of a rhythm come week one and try and have a dominant force moving throughout the season, like come September. And in their defense, season doesn't really begin until around Halloween. We've seen a lot of teams do well. Like they win a couple of meaningless games in September and October, but they come November, they don't lose a game until middle of January, or they don't lose a game for the rest of the season, so to say. So we'll have to go and see. Bengals are a team. I think there's a lot of good players in a lot of positions, not too many weaknesses. I think they can use this draft to really solidify a lot of positions.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so let's go ahead and wrap this video up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on what you thought of this 3-round mock draft for the Bengals. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you do differently? And other than that, we will see you guys next time.